Hey, this is Cole Sampson, Enterprise Channel Manager for Alta Labs. I want to introduce you to our Not Fair Resale Kit, also known as our NFR Pack to you. If you are interested in joining the thousands of companies that have started using Alta Labs as their primary network solution, the NFR Pack is a great way to try us out. If you have already decided to apply for and purchase an NFR Pack, this video will also provide you with an easy step-by-step guide to getting your gear online so you can start testing performance and exploring some of the industry-changing features Alta Labs has to offer. The NFR kit consists of the following: our 10 gigabit per second router and security appliance called Route 10, with all RJ45 and SFP Plus ports assignable. The Route 10 is capable of supporting multiple WAN connections and a load balancing or failover architecture. It also features IPsec, IKEV2, and WireGuard VPN servers, and so many more features you can check out by visiting alta.inc/Route10. Our 8-port managed network switch with 4 ports of PoE+, our Wi-Fi 6 4x4 IP54 rated AP6 Pro, and our 2x2 AP6. As with all products manufactured by Alta Labs, including the purchase of the hardware is the access to our worldwide and highly secure cloud management platform. That's right, you do not need to pay anything extra in licensing fees to manage Alta Labs devices. Some more reasons why companies are jumping over to Alta Labs are: Alta Labs also offers free technical support, which includes phone, chat, and email. We also encourage you to become a member of our community, which can be found at forum.alta.inc. Alta Labs builds high-performance hardware that are rich in features and available at a disruptive price point. Alta Labs products are built from the ground up by our development team with decades of experience. This allows us to be nimble in our feature releases and assure our ecosystem is highly secure. Alta Labs is channel-friendly and offers stronger margins than its competitors at similar price points. Alta Labs has a partner program called the Summit Program, where you can earn Alta Cash and priority support by installing our products. Alta Labs lives off the feedback received from our customers. We take it very seriously. We have implemented multiple features that you'll see in our cloud management platform today very quickly due to customer feedback. We want you to feel more like a partner rather than a customer here at Alta Labs. Let's go ahead and get it all unboxed, plugged in, and configured. First, the Route 10. As you open up the box, you'll see the Route 10 itself, the included wall mount bracket and power supply. Now the S8 PoE. It has a wall mount bracket and an external power supply. The AP6 Pro and the AP6 both look identical coming out of the box, and include a mounting bracket that can be used for horizontal and vertical mounting surfaces, as well as pretty much any electrical or low voltage junction box. We also include a bracket for drop ceiling mount applications and a hardware kit. Before we power anything on, let's plug the Route 10 into a switch port from an existing network connection or from your internet service provider's gateway. If the handoff from a switch or gateway is an RJ45 connection, we want it to go into the WAN 1 port, which is the far left RJ45 port. If the handoff from the network switch or gateway is fiber, we want to terminate that into the WAN 2 port. We will then come out of ports 1 and 2 from our S8 PoE into the AP6 and AP6 Pro. Now that we have our equipment connected together, we will go ahead and power up the Route 10 and S8 PoE. The APs will receive power once the S8 powers up. Once powered up, we will need to start configuring the Route 10. There are 2 ways to accomplish this: by using our Alta Networks mobile app or by connecting a computer to the new 8-port switch via Ethernet cable. For this video, we'll be using a wired connection to set up your new Route 10. Connect your laptop or PC via Ethernet cable into any of the open switch ports on the S8 PoE. Once a leak has been established, open any web browser and navigate to the IP address of the Route 10, 192.168.1.1. If it indicates that the internet is already connected, you can skip the next step and go directly to manage.alta.inc to set up the device in your desired Alta site. Once the page loads, select WAN 1. Then follow the steps answering the questions correctly for the type of connection you will be using with the Route 10. For this example, we will configure it using DHCP. Enter the credentials provided to you by your ISP. Click Next. Route 10 supports WAN side VLAN tagging should your ISP require it. For this example, our ISP does not require it. Our ISP also does not require the use of specific MAC ID. Our ISP also auto-negotiates the link speed. Click Next. Your Route 10 will now go and attempt to connect to your ISP. If this is successful, you will see a success message. If not, you'll need to check your settings and try again. Now we are ready to add the NFR products to your first site. From a PC, go to manage.alta.inc and log into your account. If it is your first time visiting the management platform, click Sign Up at the bottom of the page and follow the prompts. For your first time logging in, you will notice the management platform automatically creates your first site and calls it Home Base. You can change the site name by clicking the drop-down menu on the top right of the screen and clicking Rename Site. In this same drop-down, you can create new sites for your new projects. You can also leave sites you have been invited to. As you add more sites, you will find this navigation option is super easy to use as you manage all of your customer sites across the globe. The site dashboard you see when you first log in shows you the total upload and download traffic being consumed by the site, as well as your top active client devices, top active applications, and your top active Alta Labs network devices. As we add the S8, PoE, and APs to the site, more data will be populated into this dashboard. To set up the new products, click the Network tab on the top left of your screen. You will now see the Route 10, S8 PoE, AP6 Pro, and AP6 ready for setup. Go ahead and click Setup on all 4 devices. Once you see all devices are connected, you may see an arrow next to the version number on a device. This is indicating there is a firmware update available for the device. Go ahead and click the up arrow and allow the firmware to upgrade completely. Before we set up your first SSID to broadcast, I want to introduce you to the network page in more detail. Starting over here with the device icon. When you click it, this is how you access the device specific settings. For the AP device card that appears, you'll see the channel and bandwidth settings. At first, we recommend you leave both these settings to auto. Below those, you'll see the colors version. When you create your SSIDs you want the APs to broadcast, you will be able to assign them a color. You can then select the assigned color to the SSIDs here in this menu. By adding the red color to the AP, it will now broadcast the SSIDs you have assigned the red color. We will show you how to do this here shortly. On the Settings tab of the AP device card, this is where you can tell the AP to pull an IP address from your DHCP range or set it to a static IP. You can also upgrade the management VLAN number here. Fallback upon failure is a feature that is unique to Alta Labs. When turned on, if the AP becomes completely isolated because of an incorrect network configuration, it will roll its settings to DHCP and VLAN 1 with the idea that it should then allow you to access and configure the AP once again. The always on feature gives you the ability to determine if a specific AP continues to broadcast its SSIDs in the event of an internet outage. By keeping that set to on, the SSIDs will always broadcast even if the internet to the site goes down. The mesh toggle here gives the ability to the AP to allow downstream mesh endpoints or not. The LED menu gives you the ability to have it follow the site settings by selecting the default option, or you can set the colors individually for each AP to blue or white, or you can turn it off. Finally, you can move the AP to a different site by using this dropdown. Under the Info tab of the AP device card, this is where you can conduct a quick or full scan of the RF environment surrounding a particular AP. Another differentiator here is that no matter which scan option you choose, you will not take the network down. Wireless clients will be able to remain connected to the APs while the scan is being conducted. Once the scan is complete, you can see the utilization by individual channels as well as the number of interferers. This is helpful information when you are trying to maximize the wireless performance in your project. If you are not comfortable with setting your channels and bandwidths manually, we suggest you leave those to auto and allow our auto channel planner to optimize your project for you. Below the scan section, you can see the real-time traffic utilization on the AP. You can select the DPI dropdown to see what applications are consuming bandwidth on the specific AP. Then in the connected device section, you can see the list of devices connected to the AP along with its signal strength. Next, let's open the 8-port switch settings by clicking on its icon. Once open, you will be able to see the individual ports, if something is connected, and at what speed. You will be also able to see if the port is consuming PoE if a power icon is present on an individual port. You can also power cycle ports just by hovering over the port and clicking power cycle. You can also hover over your mouse over the connected device icon and see its name and MAC address. Below the port summary, you will see a legend you can reference to see what the icons and port colors mean. By clicking the select button, you can quickly choose multiple switch ports to assign to a color or group or change its mode. The VLAN menu here is for the entire site. By adding and adjusting VLAN policy for each of your VLAN numbers here, you are adjusting it for the entire site. Once you have created your VLANs here, you can go in and assign them on a per port or per color group basis. The temperature shows you the current registered temperature of the unit chassis. The traffic dropdown gives you a bandwidth utilization summary by port. You can click into each individual port to adjust its settings. This is where you would change a port mode, assign it to a color group, add or restrict VLAN, set upload and download rate limits, set a voice VLAN, turn loop detection and storm control on and off, and set your MAC address allow policy. On the Settings tab of the switch device card, you will see the same network settings, management VLAN, fallback upon failure, and LED settings as the AP. If you would like to disable the link lights on the switch, you can set that up under the link light status. If you would like to create a radius server for the site, you can click on the plus icon here and enter the desired values. Next, let's open the Route 10 device card. You will notice the settings are almost identical to the switch device card with a few exceptions. First, when you click into the individual ports, you can set the mode of that port to either a WAN port or a standard LAN port. If you need to add a WAN configuration for an additional WAN connection, click the plus icon on the WAN settings. Complete the necessary fields for the connection and authentication type, then click Save. You can also edit any of the WAN connection profiles by selecting one and then clicking the pencil icon. For the selected port, you can also hard set the port speed as well as upload and download rate limit. Once you have selected the appropriate mode and WAN configurations, be sure to click Save. The Auth and VPN tabs are both for setting up VPN server and client information that will be covered in other videos and knowledge base articles. For additional and more granular firewall and network settings, we will show you those under the Site Settings tab here shortly. Back on the Site Network tab, you can use this page to quickly see what IP has been assigned to the Alta Labs device, what its current processor load, and if it's an AP, you can quickly see RF load and interference by radio. You can see a summary of connected clients and what the device MAC address is, and what the total bandwidth consumption of the device is in real time. You can customize this layout with the options drop down on the right side of the screen. If you need to locate a particular device, you can click the locate icon and the device LEDs will begin to flash. If you need to remove a device from the site and set it back to factory defaults, click the trash can icon. Next, we will move into the Site Devices tab. Here you can see a summary of each device connected to your network. You can also customize the display. Available fields are IP address, MAC address, device make, if it's connected wired or wireless, and what the signal strength is. What channel or port it's connected to, what the uplink device is, what SSID it's connected to, what VLAN is being assigned, what wireless network type it has been assigned, and what its real-time transmit and receive rate is, what Wi-Fi it's using, and what bandwidth it's consuming. By clicking the X button on the far right, you can block a device from the network. By clicking the circle with the arrows for wireless devices, you can force a disconnect and reconnect. For wired devices, you can forget the device and its settings by clicking the trash can. You can access client device specific settings by clicking on the icon of the device. This gives you the ability to assign a device a VLAN, move it to a different network type, manually assign its IP, restrict its downloads and upload limits, as well as set whether it can bypass the site hotspot, schedule, or filter policy. Next, let's move to the site settings by clicking on the Settings tab on top of the screen under Site Settings. Let's start with Wi-Fi. To set up your first SSID, click the Add New button on the far right. On the next window, enter the name you would like to broadcast with this SSID. Under Wi-Fi security, you will notice that we give you three different options: password-based security, enterprise in the event you want to use a radius server, or you can leave the SSID open without a password. We will use a password for our site. This is where you can start to leverage the power of our patented Alta Pass. Were you behind a single SSID, you can have an unlimited number of passwords, and based on the password you enter, you can assign a device on our 5 predefined network types per password. You can also assign the device a VLAN, rate limit, and decide if a joining device needs to be governed by the site hotspot, schedule, or content filter policy. At the very bottom of this dropdown, you can decide if a password needs to be locked, so no other non-admin site users can edit the policy of a particular password. By leveraging Alta Pass, you no longer need an SSID for each client type. This allows your RF environment to be as clean as possible, allowing for higher speeds, better performance, and improved customer experience. Below the password section, you will see where you can assign an SSID policy to assign it to other sites. In the color section, you can see where you can remove the black color, which is the default color to have each AP within the site broadcast the SSID you are creating, and assign it a different color. If you remove the black color and assign it a different color, you will need to make sure that you go back to the AP settings card and add the color to each AP you want to broadcast the SSID you are creating. Further down the page, under Advanced Settings, this is where you can assign the SSID a VLAN, add notes, change if the SSID is a 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz only SSID, and adjust other settings. For your NFR kit, unless you understand what each of these settings does, leave them all set to default except fast roaming. We suggest enabling fast roaming so you can experience how fast your devices can move between access points. There are two other settings I want to show you before we move on. Under each SSID you create, you can create a schedule where wireless clients can or cannot access the internet. You can enable this by selecting Turn Off or Turn On policy on the schedule dropdown. If you select a turn off policy, a scheduler appears. Simply select the times where you want the internet to turn off for certain clients. If, when you created your passwords above, you opted to have a password not, ignore the schedule policy. During a turn-off period, the internet would become unavailable to the client. Unlike our competitors, if you use a turn-off policy, the Wi-Fi completely shuts off, which isn't always the best practice. So with Alta Labs, we can continue to broadcast the SSIDs for those wireless clients that still need access to the web. We then give you the ability to decide if you want to give the client devices being governed by the policy the ability to request more time from the site admin by enabling that feature here. Next, hotspot. This is built right into our access point. By toggling that on, you can opt to have your hotspot policy managed locally by the APs with things like a logo and terms and conditions for a splash page, or you can direct out to an external hotspot server management platform. Once you have all your SSIDs configured the way you want, click Save. Within a few seconds, the AP will start broadcasting your new SSID. You can then start joining client devices to your Alta Labs network. Other settings I want to quickly bring to your attention are first, in the System tab, the ability to set AP and switch LED colors for your entire site, as well as whether or not automatic firmware updates are enabled. Those can all be set here. We recommend you always leave automatic firmware updates enabled. Second, users. You can invite a new user to help you manage each site here. If you are running a team of technicians, you can create groups of technicians, so you only have to invite individual groups rather than individual users to a new site. Third, the site content filter policy. Currently, this is for wireless clients only, but in early 2025, we will give you the ability to apply the policy to wired clients as well. On the application dropdown, you can either select applications by name or by category. You can select as many as you would like. In the text box below the dropdown, you can enter specific websites you want blocked. Fourth, firewall settings. This is where you can create additional allow and block policies when you have our Route 10 as your primary security appliance. Fifth, network. This is where you can also create and manage all of your subnets and their associated VLANs. That's it for configuration changes and this video. Two other visual tools I want to point out are first, the site map. You can access this by clicking the map tab at the very top of the screen. This will provide you with a visual representation of how everything is connected on your network. Second, Site Manager. As you add more sites to your login by clicking the drop-down in the upper right of the screen and then select Site Manager. You get a list of all the sites you manage, what sites you have connected and disconnected devices, and what devices need firmware upgrades. Here you can also copy sites, so if you're doing the same kind of configurations for multiple sites, this keeps it very simple. We hope you enjoy working with your new Alta Labs NFR pack. We thank you for giving us a shot. We know you won't be disappointed. If you have any additional questions after reviewing this video, please check out our YouTube channel where you can find a number of additional instructional videos. If you need help purchasing products in the future, please refer to our Where to Buy page on our website. It shows a list of our global Alta Labs distribution partners, or email sales@alta.inc. Thank you for choosing Alta Labs.